Okay, today is our last day of the week, and we're going to cover a topic called application platform as a service. Now, you might say, well, Eric, we already dealt with all of our X as a service. We did, we did function as a service, and container as a service, and Kubernetes as a service, and platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. In a past week, that's correct. I saved some of them for later in our series. In part because it was important to really understand, in a sense, the difference between platform as a service, which again is about taking your code and hosting it in an environment, often, almost always, without dealing with any sort of infrastructural realities. Now, the packaging realities you might decide to take on, as we've talked about, most of them support containers, and that would require you yourself to build the container image and then deploy that container image into their cloud. But regardless, platform as a service presupposes code. Application platform as a service, or aPaaS, as it's often pronounced, presupposes very little code. Now, there are quite a few of these products on the market. Frequently, they are built into other applications. So other line of business systems have these systems in their guts, and we'll talk about what I mean by that in a minute. But I want to provide a slight history lesson. For 20 years, there was some version of this. By the way, I don't know that it was always called that during this time frame, but we've been focusing in technology, and particularly in enterprise technology, powering the enterprise, a suite of products that have been known by this for 15 years, called Business Process Automation Solutions, BPA, they were often called. Now, if they focused on the analysis side of that, so efficiencies and analytics, it was usually generalized to business process management solutions, which involved both the kind of documentation and analysis of business processes, but also roles, role management, and that sort of thing, as well as automating business process. Now, that typically included, the management of tasks, the assignment of tasks to people, the ability to complete work within that system. So it really did focus around automating business processes, automating what would have otherwise been manual steps, manual queues, manual workflows. In fact, workflow itself is often built into these products. In the last, I don't know, I'm not an analyst, so I'm going to take a guess at this. In the last 7 years, I would say 10 years maybe, there's been a transition, not necessarily of capabilities, but of terms, where frequently, and this is, I'm not an analyst, but I perceive that various market shifts have led to this, some of which have been brought on by the success of these embedded business process automation solutions. So one of the most popular and famous and transformative and market shifting has been Salesforce. Salesforce has in their product, which is, again, as the name suggests, entered the market originally as largely a sales automation solution. Now, of course, it reaches out into almost every sector and industry, everything from healthcare to financial services. But the guts, or the internals of Salesforce, much like, I'll name a few others, Dynamics, ServiceNow has actually become a very strong player in this way. These are products that entered the market to solve a particular need. ServiceNow, for example, IT service management, targeting large enterprises with large IT organizations needing to manage IT as a business. This was where ServiceNow started. Now, ServiceNow has gone into lots of other industries and conversations, in part because they've got this application platform as a service product inside of it. And so what is an application platform as a service product? Well, what it is it's the ability to automate business processes, sequences, workflows, business rules, often the storage, retrieval, manipulation of data, and a UI to do that. So often a web-based or mobile-based UI to do that, all without writing much code, if any code. So you've probably heard of the low-code, no-code movement. I mean, this is a movement or an initiative or a market force that's been happening well over 15 years. But again, I think the transition between business process automation solutions into this into these low-code, no-code platforms that serve as a basis for business applications has led to application platform as a service, which provides frequently non-developers or pseudo-developers or analysts, typically senior analysts, the ability to express a business process as a series of steps, to express a UI as a series of drag and drop UI manipulations on a screen with actions, most of which require little to no code, and to deploy these solutions as though they were developers building everything from scratch. And so, again, this is the principle or force behind low code, no code. Now you're seeing the other thing you're starting to see now is a decoupling. And again, this was true back in business process automation. There was a number of products in the market at the time that, again, we'll say, for the sake of argument, 15 plus years ago, that were only focused on business process automation. And so you're starting to see a resurgence of some of that. For example, the Microsoft platform for this called Power Platform, which comes with particularly 3 specific products, but 2 of them very focused on what I would have traditionally called business process automation, now application platform as a service. Those 2 products are called Power Automate, which is a product that is largely based on Logic Apps, which is an Azure solution, and Power Apps, which is a low-code, no-code application design environment. Again, targeting people who have not much more development aptitude than somebody who's creating an advanced Excel spreadsheet. So now, most of these application platform as a service solutions provide escape hatches out to real code or lots of code, if you want to call it that, so that developers who need to create advanced solutions can do so as a breakout, so you don't get yourself locked into a corner where you build a little bit and you go, oh, well, this does a little bit well, but once I get to that glass ceiling, I can't go any further. But application platform as a service, or aPaaS, provides the ability for non-developers or developers vested in writing as little code as possible, which sounds like it sounds a little oxymoronic, but there's this movement of low code, no code on the principle that the less code I write, the less code I have to maintain, and candidly, the more business problems I get to solve. And so you see various developers get excited about this, and you see certainly analysts and the emergence of business process specialists or engineers who have been doing some of this work in these specialized business process automation solutions potentially for years enter the organization, or as I said, particularly technical business people who happen to not be coders, but also think logically and analytically about automation, who have the ability to automate a business process. So that is application platform as a service.